Hey friends, welcome to our Midweek Moment. Pastor Nicole here. So glad you clicked on. Well, this week we started our sermon series, What If? Dreaming of Opportunities. And we're going to take some time over the next couple of weeks to dream about opportunities that our church has to continue to be the hands and feet of Jesus in the world. So this week we talked about what if we humble ourselves and pray? Now, humility is one of those things that I think all people deal with in their life. If you do a simple search of humility in the Bible, you will see passage after passage after passage of scripture that talks about humility. And that's not even including the people whose life story really could be summed up with, oh, that's a lesson for us in humility. This weekend, we looked at one of those people, and that's Jonah. We talked a little bit about how Jonah's a cautionary tale because he doesn't humble himself. He doesn't pray. He decides to do what he wants to do, and it doesn't end well for him. He ends up in the belly of a fish. So I was thinking about humility, and that maybe it's just a part of the human experience that we struggle with humility, that we want to put our own ideas and our own thoughts first, that issue of pride, right? That all of us on some level struggle with pride. Sometimes it's in really big ways. Sometimes it's in smaller ways. We might have pride around one area of our life and not have pride in another area of our life, but it all comes down to the fact that we have to humble ourselves before God. That God requires humility from us, because when we don't humble ourselves before God, we're essentially saying that we are on level with God or above God, that our way of thinking is better than God's way of thinking, that our way of doing things is better than God's way of doing things. And I think we all know that that's not the case. And I think we say that, right? We would say, of course, God is smarter than me. Of course, God knows more than I do. But it's not so much in what we think as in how we act and how we live out our lives. So we can say, of course, God knows more than I do, but then we can go and do what we choose to do because of the pride that we hold in our heart. And that's really dangerous. And I think it's something that we all struggle with from time to time, and probably to varying degrees depending on the season in our life. The whole point of the sermon this weekend was that before we do anything, we have to take time to seek God in humility, to be humble and to pray, to listen for the voice of God. We talked a little bit about that around the idea of our giving, especially our giving in 2023 as we seek to pledge to the church next year, thinking about what we want to invest in the mission and ministry here at Willow Hill. But really, more than that, humility and listening to the voice of God through prayer is something that we should do every day, a practice that we should hold every day. And I have to tell you, sometimes I am way better at this than others. Maybe you are too. But I'm going to spend some intentional time this week really trying to find a place to humble myself, to pray and to listen, to kind of just be in that state of humility, to just remind myself that, God and I are not like this. God and I are like this. We're not even on the same page, right? And to really try to lean into that. And I invite you to do that as well. Spend some time this week humbly submitting yourself to God, and to pray and listen for God's voice and to see where God might lead you. You might be surprised at what you hear. So I hope you all have a great rest of your week. Spend some time praying, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.